Hey guys, welcome back. Got 7 brand new polls to run through in today's video, many of them looking at key Super Tuesday states, some very interesting data. Now, before jumping into the numbers, I wanted to officially announce that I've teamed up with predictit.org. They're a website where you can buy and sell shares of candidates in elections and potentially profit off your knowledge in politics. You can use my offer link, and it's going to be posted right at the top of the video description, and Predictit will match your first deposit up to $20. You can help out the channel, have some extra fun during election season by joining me over at predictit.org. And just to quickly show you how things work, you can select an upcoming primary state, that being North Carolina in this instance. Biden's trading at about 66 cents a share, Bernie Sanders at about 36 cents. So whichever individual you think might go on and win North Carolina, you could buy in, for instance, Bernie Sanders at about 37 cents a share. And then if Bernie ended up going on and winning North Carolina, you could sell those shares for 99 cents. So then you would be profiting the difference between what you bought the share at and then what you sold it for. And you actually don't even have to wait until the contest is over. You can buy and sell these shares at any point throughout the process. So now moving back over into the polling data, we have a California poll here from Suffolk and a sample size of 500. Bernie Sanders doing quite well in this instance, up there nearly around 35% of support. And the only other candidate that was actually able to reach viability was Bloomberg at 16%, followed by Joe Biden, who's at around 14%, Warren at 12%, Buttigieg, who is no longer in the race, was around 7 percentage points, and then you have Klobuchar at around 5%, and Tulsi Gabbard down there at around 3%. And now coming off that really strong Biden performance in South Carolina, these are instances where I think he's going to start gaining in a number of these polls, taking away from somebody like a Michael Bloomberg, who's occupying that moderate centrist type lane. So as we continue to get new polls coming out, wouldn't be surprised to see Bloomberg taking a little bit of a step back, with Joe Biden taking a bit of a step forward. And we're definitely seeing that with the new numbers out of Point Blank, another California poll here, a sample size of 1,220. And the percent change that I'm going to do here is from the prior poll that came out on February 28th. So Bernie Sanders still leading the pack. Very strong result here at 34%. And then Biden takes a big step forward. This is what I was saying. He picks up 8 points in the past few days. He was at 14, now he's up to 22%, kind of consolidating some of that centrist vote. Elizabeth Warren staying there at 14, Bloomberg down to 10, he loses a couple of points. Buttigieg no longer in the race, and then Klobuchar there at 3 points. And then an Emerson poll out of the state of California, Bernie running away with this one. He's at the top there at 38%, and it's looking more and more like it's going to be a pretty convincing victory there for Sanders in the key important state of California, just given how many pledged delegates that they have up for grabs. Sanders leading the pack at 38%, followed by Joe Biden in second place at 21%, Warren at 16%. So in this instance, 3 candidates able to get over that 15 percentage point threshold. And with Buttigieg no longer in the race, his support is likely to be divvied up among these upper tier candidates, making it more feasible and possible for them to get over that 15% threshold in more of the districts, as well as potentially statewide, which could possibly cut into the margin of victory that Sanders can get in terms of the pledged delegates that are going to be divvied up in that state. And then behind Warren, we can see Bloomberg at 11, Klobuchar down there at 5, and then Gabbard at 1. Steyer, of course, also no longer in the race. And yet another new California poll, this one coming from YouGov, a sample size of 1,020. Sanders leading the way at 28%. Biden at 19%, followed by Warren, pretty competitive with Biden there at 18%. Bloomberg there at 13%, and then Buttigieg no longer in the race, but he was at 9%. Klobuchar at 6%, and Tulsi Gabbard at 3%. Also, Tom Steyer no longer in the race. He was at 4%. The next poll coming out of the state of Texas, a sample size of 450. This one also coming from Emerson polls. And we can see the difference in this particular Emerson poll out of Texas in comparison to the prior result, which actually came all the way back in the earlier portion of August. Bernie Sanders taking a significant step forward. He's in first place at 31%. He gains 15 points from that prior result. Again, that result was a very long time ago, so not a huge surprise to see something in the way of a significant change, especially for Sanders, who has gained a lot of traction, particularly in Texas, over the past month. Then we have Joe Biden in second place at 26. He loses 2 points. This is Bloomberg's first result in this poll. He's there at 16. Elizabeth Warren, no change at 14. Klobuchar picks up 4%. She was at 0. Now she's up to 4. Buttigieg at 5%, no longer in the race. Tulsi Gabbard picks up 2 points to 3. And then also Tom Steyer, no longer in the race. Moving over to a North Carolina poll, this one from High Point University, a sample size of 472, and this is in comparison to the prior High Point poll out of North Carolina, which came out in the earlier portion of the month of February. And the difference in registered voters here, Sanders gained 6 points up to 31%. He was at 25 in the prior result. Bloomberg in second place at 18. He picks up 5 points. Biden lost 5 points down to 14, but this poll taken before we had the South Carolina primary results, so again, I would expect Biden to probably pick up some of that support that he had lost prior over this past month, but he, in this instance, was in third place at 14%. Warren lost a point down to 11. Buttigieg no longer in the race at 8%, as well as Tom Steyer at 4. Klobuchar stays flat there at 3. Cory Booker still no longer in the race, not even sure why that they pull for some of these individuals who have been out of the race for quite a bit of time, but then you have Tulsi Gabbard down there at just 1%. And just one more poll to go over, a new national poll. This one is from Investor Business Daily, which has been one of the weakest polls for Sanders nationally, and we can see that over the course of time. He's consistently performed worse in these IBD polls than he has in terms of the average of his national numbers, but actually this is the first time where he's in first place with this polling resource up there at 23%, and a relatively competitive race at the top with Biden at 20, Warren at 17, and this has been a more bullish polling resource for Warren in particular. She gains 4 points from the prior result where she was at 13, now up to 17. Bloomberg at 13. And then, of course, Buttigieg, who is no longer in the race, is there at 7%. So those were the 7 brand new polls that I wanted to run through in today's video. And again, guys, if you want, you can join me over at predictit.org, buying and selling shares in the candidates that you think are going to win these contests. They'll match your first deposit up to $20. You can use the link posted right at the top of the video description. I felt like this would be a pretty fun partnership to have with Predictit, a lot of crossover potentially to the viewers of this channel. So I appreciate you stopping by. Consider subscribing for more, and hope to see you guys back here for my next video.